It is a beautiful day in the French countryside. This afternoon, we get set to go racing at another site of a historic Triple Crown race. It's home to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but today it comes alive with Spec Racer Fords. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Ola Remble alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for race number 6 of the Beer League at Les Mans Le Mans by Le Creuset, which, holy cow, if that ain't a mouthful of a name, Austin, I don't know what is.
Yeah, they're a little rude for making you say that one. I'm not even going to try all night. I read that in the text earlier, and I was like, man, thank God I'm not the lead.
Well, good news. We got it out. We got it out on the first try. I was not practicing for the 30 minutes before you joined this Discord call, of course. Let's take a quick rundown through those championship standings entering tonight's race. Qualifying, looking a little bit different this afternoon. It is such a long course, right, that they have to only do one lap qualifying as opposed to the usual 20-minute open session. But Copper to the top of the points boards, Brandenburg to second, and Tucker to third, making solid drives all around as Austin Tucker improves into the top 10 and into third.
Yeah, and kind of what you were going back to saying about qualifying, I'm kind of happy about it because at a place like this, no chicanes down the Mulsanne Straight. So I'm pretty happy that it's not a group qualifying. It's just solo out there tonight. No draft to affect this thing, so nobody's getting any unfair advantage or unfair disadvantage going through qualifying. So looking forward to seeing how it shakes up. And everybody only have one lap. Got to keep that thing on the track.
Of course, Teams Championship, no changes so far. Babs Bug Boys still in the front, with only 4 points separating them. This Team's Championship going to come alive. Happy Holidays has gotten around Heralds of Galactus, so that Team's Championship is looking set to come alive this afternoon. We cut back to live pictures with a massive blast down the Mulsanne Straight, and boy, oh boy, is it ever a pleasant blast to see. It is a sight that you rarely get to see in any race car, and now you get set to take it in all of its glory for this long straightaway. You saw right there, cut to that second chicane. We're running the historic layout. It is the mother of all drafting battles down that back stretch.
It's really going to be a drafting battle because the top speed's only 136 by yourself. I'm watching Aaron Thacker, and he's only getting to 136. Peterson here looking at 135. Now finally getting to 136 there before the right-hander. So I'm a little bit worried for the main race because, I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks and kind of drumming it up, but now that I'm really seeing it on the racetrack, just solo cars, that straightaway is going to be so stupid all night long, especially on the start.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be great. As well as that, we have a different caution procedure for tonight so we don't get the massive, 30-minute long yellow flags. We'll get to that when the time comes up. Obviously, for now, we are only focused on qualifying here this afternoon. And I think for the first time, I think it's pertinent that we flash up a special little graphic. We don't get to use it all that much in this new overlay, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it looks this time around. How about this? We get to take a look at how some of the times are panning out for the time being. You see right now, Jordan Babcock, one of the drivers that is close towards the finish, but no times logged in sectors 3 or 4. I do believe that means he is going to be finding himself towards the tail end of this field. But you can still see quite a few cars either pulling off the racetrack or opting to abandon their qualifying efforts.
And that's not too surprising. Like I mentioned, you've got one shot, and well, if you get an X right at the beginning before you even get to the Mulsanne Straight, I mean, other than driving the track for just a little bit more practice, what more are you really getting out of going out there? I mean, this thing is a behemoth. It's 4.5 minutes to get around. I would probably just, if I get that early 1X, I'd just pull over to the side of the road and take a breather before this thing starts because we got a heat race, and then we got a main event that's going to last 60 minutes right after that. So a lot of racing that's just going to be jam-packed with battle packs coming down that straightaway all night long. You're going to be ripping your hair out, so might as well, take a breather if you made a mistake early.
It's a very unforgiving track as well. You saw coming through the Porsche curves just a little while ago just how close those walls are, to the point where one of those walls actually has a NASCAR-style safer barrier on it now, rather than the padded wall that used to be there before. And now down into the final 4 chicanes, 2 very quick left-right flicks in quick succession, mirroring one another. The second one a little bit tighter than the first. And now the times starting to come in So we're going to be getting ourselves with the few lap times we're going to get sorted out this afternoon. There is over 30 cars that are looking set to gear up this afternoon, but not a lot of them are going to have the opportunity to really put down those lap times, right? I mean, a lot of these drivers, they're going to have to really focus on getting things kind of sorted amongst themselves. But look at Clank, Hall, and Thacker all within 5 thousandths of a second of each other.
And how in the world have they managed that? How are they so close for the top? Well, now they're
how
that
did
close for
Blevins
second,
get
but
9/10 up on them?
Well, because it's a 4.5 minute lap. That makes sense to me. I can't believe that before that the top three were within what 1/10 or 1/100th of each other. That's stupid. That's crazy that they could run 4.5 minutes around this thing, and second through fourth are separated by 100th of a second. I mean, that's ridiculous from Clank, Hall, and Thacker that they could be that close.
Jacob Noyes, one of the last cars out on the circuit right now. So he'll work his way into the final corners for the Taco Bell machine. Doing that just to spite me because he knows I don't have Taco Bell in the region where I live at right now, or at least none that's
Taco Bell
close.
sucks.
And well, let me rephrase. I don't have Taco Bell that's close enough to be delivered to the house. I have 2 Taco Bell stores that are just outside of that range, and it's a 40-minute round trip, so it is not worth the effort. But conversations for another time. Kaufman right now, the last car on the racetrack, and he's still on the Mulsanne.
I think we can have this conversation now. I have a Taco Bell 3 minutes from me, and I never go to it because it's nasty. I can't believe you would even think about going far for it.
The Taco Bells at my place are pretty good. To be fair, a lot of places up in Canada when it comes to fast food are better than...
You see, I think just about everything in Canada is better than what we've got down here. There was a man at Bristol that I befriended. He was a Dale Jr. fan watching his last Xfinity race. He handed me a Canadian Budweiser because he's from Canada. Drove all the way down for that race. That was a million times better than what we got down here. Like, it almost made me move up there just because it tasted that much better.
To be fair, the McDonald's in the little town where I live at is god-awful. And it's at the point where I'm actively boycotting the place. But to be fair,
every time we talk about food, you're talking about these fast food crappy places. Like, man, well, if you're eating McDonald's and Burger King or Wendy's or whatever the heck every day, I can. Bleh.
Well,
like,
to be fair, I'm not eating every day, but to be fair to that McDonald's, that's more of a management issue than an actual McDonald's problem because no other place I've been to, even in the States, shocking I know, has been as bad as this one. So it's definitely not, an overall thing. But, I mean, yeah, you've got some good places up here. You got your Papa John's, you got your Pizza Huts. There's a local pizza chain that my track ordered food from because it was we were working overtime at the track. We were going in on 13 hours, so they ordered pizza for all of us in that place. First time I had it from there, I could not believe how good it was. So imagine my disappointment when I found out that they also do not deliver, which means me going outside of my house.
Everybody DoorDashes nowadays. I bet they DoorDash.
They don't. I checked extensively. They don't. I don't know why. You'd think they would.
I hope Crawford watches his qualifying lap back so that he can figure out that during the entire straightaway we gave zero instruction or zero insight on what he was doing.
Down and goes straight. What instruction does he need?
He talked about pizza and Burger King. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that's why we did it, because there's just about nothing going on down the straightaway until we put all 40 of them out there.
Well, look at the Porsche curve. See that safety barrier all along the right-hand side? That takes away a bit of that tiny margin of error that you would normally have at this place.
In these cars, though, you're not necessarily pushing to the limit like you probably would, a Porsche or a fucking LMP2. Whoa, excuse me, an LMP2. I got a little too casual there. I got a little too casual there. I apologize. But yeah, you don't have to push. This car doesn't go all the way out to the safer barrier. I feel like it doesn't quite have that speed.
Crawford going to come across the line. He'll have less than 30 seconds to spare. He is the last car that will get the chance to put down a qualifying effort here this afternoon. 20 seconds, comes across the line. And not good enough for pole today. A third of a second off the mark. He'll be down by 0.3 to 1 Kyle Blevins. That just leaves Ben Williams. But with only 10 seconds on the clock, he's not going to get to the end of the straight, let alone the end of the lap. So we're going to get the chance.
He might have been a little late.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a wee little bit. Well, we're going to get the chance down to take a rundown of what that starting grid is going to look like here this afternoon. 15 minutes of sprint racing action about to get underway for the French countryside. For the sprint race this afternoon, it is Kyle Blevins alongside Alex Cofford with Alexander Klenk in third, Justin Allens fourth. Then it's Aaron Thacker, Keaton Crothers, Eric Ronenberg, Alexander Bueller, John Combs, Chris Flam, Steve McClendon, and Brooks Clayton for the top 12, sorry. Jake Casey, Austin Tucker, Darren Mai, Jason Lee, Kyle Smith, Evan Campbell, Matthew Dupuis, Robert Peterson, Greg Beckman, Corey Barrett, Carson Catlin, Ryan Murphy, Jimmy Castro, Ryan Verhulst, Tom Adole, Ringo Harrison, Jacob Noyes, Barrett Morton, Adam Klein, Giovanni Romano, Tyler Augustino, Tyler Carlton, Ben Williams, Chris Hannigan, Chris Bright, Michael Hopkins, Adam Joseph Milhot, Stephen Purcell, Jordan Babcock, and Blake Gambrill close out the field. Everybody else ready to rumble. You heard the fighter jets fly over the head with that traditional blue, white, and red smoke behind them. They're going to do that once more tonight when we go racing for the main event this afternoon.
I don't think that they would do that for the Spec Racer Fords in real life, so maybe we need to tone down the realism there a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite that prestigious here tonight, but it's still going to be freaking hilarious the entire time. I'm telling you, down the straightaway on the first lap of this heat race, I'm expecting a lot of chaos. I'm expecting 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 wide a couple times. So I'm a little nervy for the back straightaway.
I feel like a lot of drivers are, and I feel like a lot of those drivers have been warranted. They put out a little post that just said prepare, and it attached an MP5 file. It is possible to fit 5 wide in down the Mulsanne. It's going to be awesome. I don't think we're going to get to that point, but we're probably not going to be far off.
Even coming down to turns 2 and 3, I think it's going to be a little nervy, but they're starting to get their engines revved, so I think we're getting ready to go.
We sure are. Green flags out. It's go, go, go from Le Mans. The field fanning out behind, crashing already in the outside of the Ford chicane, coming back across the racetrack. Dupuis around, Carlton's around, the 59 of Jordan Babcock is around, and the rest of the field going to funnel on up towards turn number 2 on the afternoon. Diving in for the first time, we got more cars going around.
Keaton Crothers went around. Eric Ronenberg caught out on the outside of the racetrack there down into turn number 2. Both of them losing a ton of spots. Ronenberg having to cut the course. Both of them getting the ship righted to have a slowdown as well. A little bit of insult to injury. But the front of the field, mostly single file for the top 8, 9, 10 or so. Filing down into about turn 5 here until we get down onto that back straightaway. Just how much is the draft going to come into factor? I got to think Cofford is going to be on the back bumper of your race leader, probably by the third mark on the straightaway.
We drive it on down the Mulsanne out of Virage, and already they are 3-way tandem drafting for the top 3 spots down the Mulsanne straight. Now let the drafting battles commence. The top 3 are breaking away, but 4th and 5th are closing ranks. They are going to get to them before we get to the end of the Mulsanne. For now, though, there's the first bit of 4 wide of the afternoon.
Lap number 1, a couple guys starting to figure it out. We're seeing like NASCAR style tandem drafting, and you can do more than 2 cars, right? We've got little 3-car packs.
Look
little
out!
Go-karts getting together.
That's one of the flying donut cars getting off into the rumble strip. So we got 1 car sideways on the straight. That's going to be Evan Campbell, I think. He's going to pull out. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead. Oh, no, they're wrecking for the lead. Hard into the wall. Cofford almost up and over. Justin Hall getting in a big time. Hall is up and over. Oh, can that 71 car keep it on the ground? He does. He won't save it, though. And now here comes the absolute monstrosity of the field. Justin Hall has hit several times. Ronenberg gets up into the air big time. They're still flipping all the way down the straight.
That's the long one at Le Mans. Holy cow, I can't believe what I'm watching. But we knew it was going to happen at the end of the straightaway. I just didn't think it would happen for the race lead, getting 3 wide. And Aaron Thacker just getting, ping-ponged in the middle, honestly. I feel like he hit just about everybody that he was battling for the top spot, all 5 of them, pinging off of each other. The guy that was leading the race, Blevins, still hasn't even gotten off of the straightaway. That's how long that wreck was for him. He's still on the Mulsanne straight.
Well, we knew it was bound to happen. It was only a matter of when. More cars around on the exit of the Mulsanne, right at the slowest turn on the racetrack. But look at, well, Chris Bright back into the wall, and I think they're going to get themselves sorted. Alexander Klenk is now 4.6 seconds away, but if these guys can tandem to him, he is going to be at serious risk on lap number 2 down the Mulsanne and even down towards these corners. They're approaching Indianapolis. They're 4 wide, approaching a one-line kink in prototype machinery. They're going to make it work. They double it out after tripling it out, and now they go around again.
Oh, 3 more of them into the inside wall, synchronized spinning coming off the corner. You'd think that Indianapolis might be one of the easier corners, but whenever you go in there three wide, multiple rows deep, it's not going to work out too well for you. They got it funneled down to 2, but here's a look at that wreck down the Mulsanne straight. We still have not even finished lap number 1, and I feel like this wreck took longer than most lap 1s at other racetracks. I mean, it lasted forever.
And it was Alex Coppard, the only other car that got turned up and over, along with Ronenberg and Justin Hall, in the midst of all of that carnage. Just wanted to get a look at the tail end, but you saw really well how it started. Couldn't quite get the best of you on how it ended, but, well, there we go. Working through the Porsche curves for the first time today. Ripping back towards the front stretch. Alexander Klenk continuing to build up the gap with Jason Lee behind. Alexander Bueller is in the fray as well. This battle back here, the one for 6th, and where is 12th place? Just behind them, Ringo Harrison just lost it to Baron Morton.
Yeah, Ringo down on the inside. Might throw it in deep into this braking zone into the last chicane, though. Try to take the spot back. Looks like he's not going to be able to. Well, he's going to throw it in really deep. Oh, he throws it in too deep. Ringo Harrison off the racetrack a little bit further back.
And he's
looking at the wrong.
Oh, boy. Well, Morton just lost it out of the final corner. That gives up the last spot now to Tyler Augustino.
I don't even. The first lap was a little bit crazier than I thought it was going to be. Everywhere, didn't matter where you were looking. Somebody was finding the fence or getting a little sideways. Maybe 3 wide coming down to turn 1. Maybe just going to stay 2. John Combs leading this little pack, but for Alex Klenk up in the race lead, he stretched that gap out a little bit, and Jason Lee and Bueller are not right on each other. So it's not like Bueller's gonna get the bump draft all the way down the straight. No, he's gotten closer actually through the first part of this lap, so he could get to the back bumper here of Jason Lee. Now, 5 seconds, are they going to make that up down the straight? Absolutely not. But I can't wait to see what they do make up. It could be 2.5, 3.
Tyler Carlton going around to the number 45 Troubles machine. Let's ride on board with Alexander Bueller, giving a massive shove there to Lee down the straight. Now, watch for that delta. 5 seconds. They are building speed quite steadily. Right now, they are hitting 140. Alexander Klenk has hit his peak, and these drivers are still accelerating. 4.5, 4.4, 4.3. I don't think they're going to get them by the end of the Mulsanne, but by Indianapolis, if they can reel in enough and stay right on each other, they might have a chance.
And it was really at about 5.3 whenever they started the straightaway, so they've already cut into that lead by just about 2 seconds. Another 2/10, which they're easily going to get here at the end of the straight. So yeah, they've knocked off 2 seconds. So 2 cars together by themselves against, well, one of the fastest guys in here down the straight. I mean, 2.5 seconds. This is insane how much time they're gaining down this straightaway.
And it helps that there's no chicanes to break them up either. That's what's allowing them to stay this close together. This paddle pack behind here is also closing in on the 2nd and 3rd place runners as well. There's a lot of cars closing in. Alexander Klenk, gap down to 1.7 as he hits the fastest corner on the racetrack. He is absolutely going to be under fire by the time they get to Indianapolis.
That's insane, man. Until they got to the Indianapolis set of corners, they gained over 3.5 seconds. They gained 3.5. That's ridiculous how much better 2 cars are than 1 down the straightaway here. And that's going to lead for some crazy battles today. A lot of people kind of finding buddies. Oh, no. Ringo Harrison around right in front of the field. Not a good spot in the... Oh, no, they're wrecking coming back further into the corner, into the braking zone.
I think general rule of thumb so far, don't go double file into one of the tightest quarters on the racetrack, dubbed as Virage de Mulsanne, right? Don't go double file into that corner. I'm surprised they weren't able to gain more on Klenk down that straight there. They actually backed off a little bit. And now they're hovering at 1.6, about the same gap that they had coming all the way down at the exit of that tight hairpin. I'm shocked that they didn't close in more, unless they did so strategically to try to get more cars lined up with them.
I just think Clank, whenever he gets to the set of corners, is really, really good. Like, he was about 1.4, I think it was, up, and then they hit like 2 corners, and he immediately jumped that gap back up to 1.8. So it could be a mix of Clank just being a little bit better than the corners, or Lee carried way more speed into the corner than he had originally done on lap number 1 because he was getting a huge bump draft. So maybe it just, he overshot the corner a little bit, wasn't quite firm enough on the brakes getting in, cost himself some time. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking it's the Clank is just better through the corners because it's over 2 seconds now.
Romano, Campbell, Barrett Morton, and the 137 of Chris Flams are all looking to go through this field as well. And I think Chris Flams might have just gotten a slowdown because he just gave up a couple of positions. And he might have to give up another one here as he's being kind of pushed along by Aaron Thacker's 816. This is all for spots outside of the top 12. Now 6 minutes to go. So they are going to be able to make this work. And I do believe, I think this might be the last lap. I'm not 100% sure, though. I mean, it's showing right now. Kind of going to check here. No, okay, they did not go for it. They were telling me earlier on they were discussing on having the heat capped at just 3 laps so they could try to minimize going an extra lap, extra long in the sprint race. Doesn't look like they went for that, though. This is going to be on time, so we now have 2 to go.
And, well, I guess it would matter more if we only had 1 lap to go, but looking back up to the lead, Clank has stretched it out again to 3 seconds, but he's coming up to the back straightaway where he lost 3.5 seconds the last time that the 2 behind him were able to get together. So we're going to have to wait and watch Jason Lee and Alexander Bueller, see if they can get linked up. And, well, honestly, there's a couple more cars that have been coming into the fray, too. Clayton and Kasich can link up. Darren Bai and Johnny Garrett can link up. Sorry, Corey Barrett can link up. So there's a couple of battle packs that could all converge onto the race lead over the last 2 laps.
And, well, Lee and Bueller have linked up now, and they are starting to close that gap in again, making sure he cannot get away. That's the beauty about Spectre Supports in this racetrack, right? No matter how good you are throughout the other sections, that draft is just too powerful to beat if you got cars that are working together like these guys are up here. Oh, one car's hard into the wall behind, into the fence. That's going to get itself righted, looking like nobody went around. So we'll keep eyes on this impending battle for the lead. It's down to 1.7 now, and this is where the gap was at when they came off of the straight the last time by. Jay Kasich giving up a couple of spots. And that second pack looking like it's lost some momentum here, so they're starting to falter just a touch, while these 2 now, within a second, now they have the draft of Clank up the road, so they're gaining even more speed now.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get here. I mean, they are absolutely flying right now. 145 for Jason Lee in second. Clank only at 136. Look at him. They're going to just blow his doors off down the straightaway into the braking zone. They catch him at the perfect time. Clank able to maybe hang around the outside. He drives it in deep. Oh, what a move by Clank. Does he hang on? No, he gets a little twitchy. Jason Lee is going to take the race lead.
Clank clips the grass. Lee takes the top spot. Now, Clank has been working, Bueller's been working with Lee this entire sprint race so far. Does he work with him now, or does he abandon him and go for glory? Kyle Smith spins around, tail end of the shot. Looking like nobody else is going to be going and spearing off with him, so it's all eyes up front. Bueller's going for broke to the inside. He takes the lead of the race. Clank trying to get the nose in there as well, see what he can do. That pack, 4th through 7th, still trying to close up deeper in the field as well.
And this is where it might be tough for those guys 4th through 7th. They're going to have to have a really good set of corners here through the last couple sectors of the racetrack to be able to close that gap and maybe get to the draft of Lee, Clank, and Bueller down the back straightaway so that they're not having to be in a bump draft war, because I feel like the top 3, now that they're together, they might fight during the corners, but I feel like once they get to that back straightaway, they're going to be doing the triple draft to make sure that nobody can catch up to them.
You saw the battle for 12 starting to close as well. Alexander Clank retakes the race lead. Bueller and Lee giving up the lead to the 013. So Alexander Clank out in front once again. Through the Porsche curves, the 013 looking strong. But remember, this is not the last lap. He will still have to hang on one more round And I think what Klenk is doing here, Klenk is taking the lead, right? So they're going to pass him again on the Mulsanne. But if they pass him too soon, he could try to go back around them.
I mean, even after the straightaways, there's just so many corners. I feel like you said, with Lee and Clank, or sorry, Lee and Bueller, even if they get around him, there's just so many corners after the straightaways that as long as Clank stays with these guys, I feel like he's favored because he's been a little bit quicker both times through this section of the racetrack. So I gotta think Bueller's sitting prettiest. And right now, Lee actually losing a little bit of ground on the last corner. He's got to have a really good first sector to be able to keep that draft.
I think he's backing up to try to drag Clayton and Kasich into the fight.
No. I don't know. I wouldn't want to bring more people into it. I would want to fight it between us three, but now he's a second off of Bueller. I mean, he's going to have a really good couple of corners to be able to stay in the draft, or else he's going to have to go with your plan. Maybe that's what he's trying, but he's going to be forced into it here in a moment.
60 seconds on the clock. We are now working the last lap of the sprint race before the 1 hour main event. One of the cars further down the field, Kyle Smith, dropping out in the multi-way battle for what is now 17th, and somebody just cut across the chicanes big time. That is Todd Madole, who's going to be losing some time as a result of that. Further up the road, Brooks Clayton improving up to the 4th place spot. Jay Kasich running right behind him with that 5th spot now. And then in that fight for 12, that will determine who starts on pole. It's a fight between Jeremy Castro and John Combs, but they're fighting for 11th technically. Robert Budison is 1.7 seconds back in 13th. I don't think we're going to get a fight for the 12th place position. Bueller looking to help out Clank, because again, he realizes if he passes him now, then Clank will get him right back down the next straight.
Yeah, it's just too early. But like I was saying, even thinking with the straightaways, I feel like Clank is just better in that last couple of sectors. Just where we get back to the corners, Clank has been so good, almost unbeatable. So even if he gets past, and we end the straightaway portion of this with him in second, I think he's got the best chance to win it. We got 3 wide coming down the Mulsanne, though. Crawford by himself, a couple of 2x2 tandems working themselves out. Now a little 4-car pack drafted down the straight. Could
we see the first 5-car tandem on Replay TV? Oh, Thacker's going to ruin it. Spoils the party.
With a 60-minute main event coming up, I've got to think we're going to see it at some point because, we were talking about, this little 15-minute race. It was awesome that they could run down 3.5 seconds on the straightaway to the leader. Well, you got to think if you can get a big pack of cars and you get a big speed boost in the main event with 60 minutes, man, you can make up a lot of time if you're way behind. I think that's going to present some opportunities. You can see people go way back and still make a run, but man, they're fighting for third as the two leaders still not close enough. Bueller did not have a good run.
Clank didn't either, though. Clank kicked the tail end out, and that did give Bueller just a small bit of momentum down the straight. Crawford pulls to the inside, and less than 71 to 13. Ooh, bit of a bump there coming down into Mirage. Slides the tail end out, and oh my goodness, a huge fight at the moment for the 14th place spot. They're side by side right now for third, making 3 wide now for third. Kasich going up the middle. Bueller can't catch Clank. And looking like Jake Kasich gonna pick up that 3rd place position. Now they're looking for 4 down the back stretch.
Oh, I almost found 5 there. Crawford way to the outside through the grass, somehow keeping it on the racetrack. Crawford still looking to the outside, trying to make it 2 with Thacker up at the front. And just ripping it around the outside. Somehow Crawford using the banking to keep the spot. Ryan Verholz now firing it down to the inside of Thacker, trying to take it away. Another little battle pack coming down to the same set of corners right behind as well.
This way back for 23rd. So this is just to determine starting position. Again, 3 wide. They're going to make it work, though.
It's heating up, Nolan. They got 4 guys under a blanket right now. Clank is pulled away, and Bueller just kind of got clear, but, man, they were all fighting like crazy. And I feel like there might be one more chance. One more chance here for Clayton to try to grab that 2nd place spot away from Bueller, but he ran a little bit wide. Might have given up his opportunity as there's still 2x2 behind him.
Still 2x2. Up the road, Alexander Clank over 2 seconds clear with the race lead. He will come down into the 4 chicanes. And the 0-13. If he doesn't bottle these last 4 flicks, he will take the win. in the 15-minute sprint race from the Circuit de 24-Hour du Mans. The nice and slow, possibly a slowdown maybe? We'll have to see. I'm not 100% on that. But here comes now the rest of the field. This is the battle for 14th place, 2 spots out of that 12-car transfer. Oh, and Cofford spun. No, that's Badol, sorry, spun hard into the wall.
Couple guys still fighting for a couple spots. Coming down to the start-finish. Jeremy Castro gets the transfer spot to start on pole. Backer coming through inside of the top 20, finishing 14th. Chris Lamb's Todd Badol coming across the line, and wow, that's a good wall for Beer League.
It's got a few little hops. I don't think a lot of people have realized it's there, though. That or they're out of fuel.
Out of fuel? I didn't even think how much gas we were going to be burning tonight with the straightaway. Holy cow. We didn't change the fuel limits, did we, tonight?
I don't think we did, but I mean, I think you could manually set how much fuel you have in the car for the sprint.
Yeah, but there's still a limit. Oh, I got you. Like if you're a little low. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my assumption, at least. I keep forgetting how fixed setup works, because even though you have a quote-unquote fixed setup, some things you can change, some things you can't. It's confusing. Well, the last few cars going to come across the start-finish line. And that is going to put the sprint race in the books. And I think, Austin, that went about how we expected. And to put it mildly, that is exactly according to plan. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results this afternoon. And this comes in from the sprint race moments ago. As in fact, we are going to get straight into racing action. No break in this one. It seems we're going to get right into it. So there's your top 12. And with cars, they are not going to be gridded on up as, well, Heures played some tricks on me. It said gridding. We are, in fact, not gridding. So your top 12 there were just on screen. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in one quick moment on Greenflight TV. We got one up and over in Pit Road. Austin, we're in for a wild time. We'll be back in a minute.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Less than 60 seconds to go before we return to racing action down the Mulsanne. We've had one action-packed sprint race. We're ready for an action-packed 60-minute main event coming up in 30 here.
I hope you're talking about 30 seconds and not 30 minutes, because I don't know if I can wait 30 minutes for another Mulsanne trip.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's 15 seconds now.
That's what I like to hear. I was about to say, okay, if you're halving it that quick, it's definitely not minutes. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to have ourselves a great time this afternoon. You got a lot of cars that are lining on up, getting ready to line on up. And, well, we saw, I think, one of the biggest wrecks we've had all season down the Mulsanne Straight the last time by 3 cars up in Nova. I think a new record for one wreck in the series for that one. So with that, it's time to take a rundown of how everything's going to line on up. This is your main event action, and this is the starting grid for Le Mans Le Mans Le Metz by Le Creuset. For the main event action this afternoon, it's Jeremy Castro alongside John Combs. Ronenberg starts third, Augustino in fourth, and it's Tucker and Bai for row number 3. Row 4, Corey Barrett and Jason Lee. Top 10 with Brooks Clinton and Jake Kasich. And then 11th and 12th place finishers in the, second and first place finishers in the sprint race. And Alexander Bueller and Alexander Klenk. Rob Peterson and Aaron Thacker, they are back behind them. Then is Ryan Verholst, Evan Campbell, Greg Beckman, Kyle Smith, Chris Flams, Tom Bedole, Bear Morton, Keaton Crothers, Jordan Babcock, Tyler Carlton, Justin Hall, Chris Hannigan, Ben Williams, Carson Catlin, Steve McClendon, Stefan Purcell, Michael Hopkins, Jacob Noyes, Ryan Murphy, Chris Bright, Blake Gambrill, Ringo Harrison, Adam Klein, Kyle Blevins, Adam Joseph Mailhot, Matthew Dupuis, Alex Cofford, Giovanni Romano brings up the rear of the grid. So, little fun fact about that La Creuset part. I thought it stood for the Crucible after running it through Google Translate. While I am partially correct, Austin, they have named it, in fact, after a sponsor for this race that makes, quote, Dutch cast iron ovens. And that's where we get the name from. So it translates to Le Mans Le Mans the Metz by the Dutch, well, by the oven, I guess. I have no idea. That's what I was told.
Did they get sponsored by this oven?
I have no idea. They said it was from the sponsor, quote unquote. That's all they gave me. They didn't give me anything other than that. So I'm rolling with it.
Fair enough. Confusing name, but you know, a little bit of a confusing race, especially for these guys whenever they get back to the back straightaway with all 40 of them under a blanket, like we saw in the heat race. So well, maybe it fits.
Sorry, they like to give tongue twisters, right, to see if they can mess me up. They haven't gotten me yet.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to give them some ideas.
Oh, dear. Well, the Revs starting to build. It's always happy you're joining us here for Racing Action on Wednesday night. We launch. It's go for the Beer League once again. 3 wide already for the number 2 spot as Augustino Ronenberg getting a good jump. John Combs did not, sinking down spots. Everyone else now in the massive run-up towards turn 2 and beyond.
Castro easily out to the race lead there through the chicane. Looks like Augustino, no, he's not going to be able to clear Eric Ronenberg for second. They're still going to be side by side as we come through the sweeper of 4. And then through the left-hander of 5. Castro starting to stretch out that lead, but second through 4th is packed up. That's going to be a mega draft coming up on him on this back straightaway.
Ready to hit the back straightaway. This time by Jeremy Castro. Down the main straight has got Tyler Augustino, Eric Ronenberg, and John Combs along with Austin Tucker packed up behind him. And already they're starting to fan out. Now we're into the meat of the straightaway. Combs going to link up with Ronenberg. Looking like Castro linking up with, oh no, sorry, that's Augustino trying to link up with Klenk. Not happening though. Look at Austin Tucker all by himself, making the charge on the right-hand side, being squeezed out to the right side of the racetrack.
Just had the draft from the 2 cars in front of him, and that was enough to carry him through, but it's got all these guys stacked up and slowed up. Here comes another 2-car tandem on the outside. Darren Bai being pushed by Jake Kasich all the way down the straight.
Still making a run for it. Everybody else, no problems yet down the Mulsanne. We have passed the second chicane. And if, there's the second chicane. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. I think we're actually going to be able to make it down the Mulsanne without any problems.
Oh, that's a scary one to say, right? Whenever we get to the end where we crashed last time. But, hey, looks like we're good. So, Ronenberg still leading the way.
Oh,
Four-car
maybe
tandem
not.
down on the bottom.
Maybe not. Maybe not. No, there we go. One car up, over. It's Tyler Carlton on top of the fence. He just keeps it in the ballpark.
Oh, and it went back on his freaking wheels. I can't believe that for Carlton. Thank goodness. That would have been a ridiculously long tow, but Ronenberg's off the racetrack. Combs has to go evasive down to the inside. Ronenberg off in the kitty litter, losing a bunch of spots. Now everybody else trying to find a way through without getting in there. Crawford making some contact. Able to hang on to it, though. Is back up front. John Combs is leading the way.
Leading the way and looking like it's going to be a good run for most of this field so far. John Combs hanging on for the top step for now. Darren Bai and Jeremy Castro getting in there with him. Jake Kasich is in the mix. Down towards Indianapolis for the first time this afternoon in main event action. So far, so good. And the fact that we still got a field of this size is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how the heck everybody's keeping it together right now. I thought we would have a couple more fenders off of the cars and cars off the racetrack, but somehow, some way, we've kept it somewhat clean so far. I say that, and somebody further towards the back of the pack spinning out, but we're going to ignore that.
Just a single car incident for him. Let's take a look back on what happened to Tyler Carlton here coming down that back straightaway. Oh, sorry, no, this was way, no, this was at the start of the lap. So this was way earlier. And I think, nope, that's then after he had his problems down the Mulsanne. I don't think we're going to be able to get a, well, there he kind of is. There we go. So he goes kind of off the racetrack, and it's been hard to see, but it's picked up on top of the wall and just gets it back right in the hole for us.
That's enough for an X Games gold medal, if you ask me.
I could agree with, I could get behind that.
A little tricky slide on his roof, and then flopping it back over. Little grind on the wheels, and then getting it back down on the. I like it. Good little move there. I don't know what he wants to call it, but I like it. We can just call it the Carlton.
Darren Bai leads lap number 1 to green after starting down to the 6th place spot. 5 minutes, well, 4.5 minutes just about deep now into this race. And we've still got, for the most part, your entire field, bar the back 8 or so, packed up all together still.
We're about to get back on that straightaway, so we're about to have even more crazy draft battles coming up. Find a dancing partner. Find somebody to help you. Right now, 4th place, Corey Barrett. Doesn't really have anybody. Maybe just close enough for the draft in front of him so he could stay in it. Just off of that, we saw Austin Tucker make some big moves with it. But he's got a long line of cars behind him that are going to eat him up if that draft ain't good enough.
This is exactly what I was hoping we would get out of this race, by the way, and it has not disappointed so far.
Really good pick. I was a doubter at first, but this is a good pick, especially for this car.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It depends on the car, and these are cars that can draft with each other. If this was GT4s, it probably wouldn't have been a good pick.
No. It would have been the most boring straightaway we've ever watched, but instead we get these little drafting trains where we're seeing a lot of strategy play out. Like, every time we come down the straightaway, people are finding different people to work with. It's just whoever's around you at the time, and then what can you do to somehow get yourself towards the front pack. And, well, I mean, I was about to say we've got just about the whole field on the straightaway, but whenever the straightaway's this long, I don't think that's really saying much.
So far, the top 3 are breaking away, and you got 4th place trying to run them down as well. And actually, Corey, oh, what cow! Oh boy, huge crash in the background. I think that's Chris Hannigan tumbling side over side, end over end, almost over the wall. Who is that sitting off the racetrack? That's Keaton Crothers. Holy cow! Send the ambulances to the back of the Mulsanne, right near that first chicane. We've just seen the mother of all flips.
That was Keaton Crothers and Alex Crawford that were involved there. Holy cow! What in? I mean, I thought the wreck at the end of the heat race number 1 was insane. That was the biggest I've seen. Obviously not in terms of car count, but in terms of explosiveness, easily.
That was a vicious impact. We'll take a minute before we look at that. We want to first be able to make sure we don't miss anything else coming down the other straight on the racetrack before we cut back to show you what happened. But I can think it's safe to say we've just lost a few cars in the drafting battle, and we may have just lost 2 more as off the road. Now there goes a third. That's Jacob Noyes. That's what you get, Jacob, trying to talk with Taco Bell. But there you see the 548, or the 549 getting back in line. Darren By, John Combs, and Jake Kasich still line astern.
I guess Taco Bell really does give you the S word, but this time it means spins.
Oh no! Oh no! Look out! Castro into the wall! Tucker into the wall! They're gonna keep it sorted somehow! That's not worse.
I thought for sure they were bouncing back off across into traffic, and we were about to get another big one. I thought for sure it was going to be a second burst, same as the first from earlier on the lap.
Had that happened about 10 feet later, they may very well have. They just barely missed an access point. So looking for Keaton Crothers. There's Crothers. This is coming down the Mulsanne. Where does this start? Somebody gets hooked here. Crawford goes 3 wide up the middle. And it's just a bunch of drafting packs coming together and boom!
Oh my goodness.
Look at that tumble down the straightaway. That is such a vicious impact. And then Crawford got it bad as well.
Crawford got a bad hit from behind here from the Green Hill Satin car. I'm not quite sure who that is off the top of my head. I think it's Carson Catlin.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's getting a bump, right? He's getting he's just shoved. He's getting shoved from Chris Bright. He's got the draft on him. Holy cow.
Oh my goodness.
So it's tough. And I'm really not going to place a lot of blame tonight. This is a very special scenario. Yeah, exactly. Down the straightaways, you got a pack like this, all drafting off each other, you're going to have a couple accidents like this.
So let's count the rolls here before they get down to the Mulsanne for the 3rd time tonight.
I hope you got slow-mo ready.
Well, let's see. So there's 1. Took a while, but there's flip number 1. And then he goes. That's 2. That's 3. 4. 5. 6. Pirouetting on the nose. Or up to 7.
7. Holy cow.
And it will stay at 7. I'm surprised that wasn't more. I thought that'd be more than that, honestly.
Anytime I see a flip, I always think it's more than what it actually is. It's just you see it in fast mode and you see it spinning so fast, and you're like, oh man, that was like 12 flips, and then it was like 7, and you're a little disappointed. But then you just gotta watch it in fast speed or at full speed.
I want to point out that wreck was at full speed. The Daytona over wreck, we had somebody tumble into the infield off a restart going 40 miles an hour. That had more flips than that wreck right there.
Well, sometimes iRacing physics are a little funny, especially the crashing physics.
That's why you picked this place.
They're a little bouncy. They are a little bouncy. I mean, we did see that car bouncing like crazy, and I can guarantee you a real car ain't gonna bounce like that.
Well, that's a contender definitely for one of Great Flag TV's biggest flips of the year, but I think it's still bested by, shockingly, not a beer league wreck. The High Tide Racing League has had some absolutely brutal flips throughout this year. We had one at Las Vegas just the other week where Paul Satmary went tumbling about 8-9 times. We had one with Mike Massangella at Daytona, went for a single car flip, and he tumbled over a dozen times through turns 3, 4, and the front stretch, believe it or not. So it's up there, though, definitely within the top 10.
You've definitely had some crazy crashes this week on Green Flag TV.
We really have.
Too, not just this year. This week has been packed full of them.
And here we go, 3 wide. Down the stretch, the top 3 still breaking out. Alexander Klang has broken away, and he is starting to try to catch the top bunch. Right here, you're tracking about 5th on back. Behind them, this is the other big battle pack at the moment. This is for 15th. They're also going for 3 wide.
Mandola on the inside getting a push. Trying to get through here. Flams there in the 137, stuck in the middle, no help. But as they come down to the corners, starts to not matter too much. It's all about, do you have the help on the exit? Mandola gets a little squirrely down there on the very inside, kind of point and shoot in that corner. And now Flams has the help on that outside groove. Back up to the front, though. These 3 they've stayed consistent. They haven't challenged each other. They've stayed in line and have pulled away from the rest of the pack because they've just been working together.
It's been a good drive for them, all things considered. They've been having a pretty good time of things. Oh boy, Jacob Noyes, and I think that's Ben Williams having a bit of a disagreement off the racetrack at Virage. I think this might be a good time where we have a little bit of a lull in the storm here to kind of go over what the caution procedure is going to be for tonight. Because it's not the usual case where, oh, they're just going to throw the yellow flag. Because if we do that, we're going to be under the yellow flag for about half an hour trying to get this race back restarted. And if it comes out after the halfway point, it may as well just end the race right there, right? So what they're doing today, they're implementing a code 60 safety car period. So when they throw the caution, it will not be an official one thrown by iRacing. We'll still show a graphic for it, but racers will race until the start-finish line. Once you cross the start-finish line, the leader slows to 60, I think it's 60 kilometers an hour. Might be 60 miles an hour, though, that they're slowing it to. I'll need to get confirmation on that. The rest of the field behind them, they will they won't be allowed to race after they cross the line, but they will be able to catch up to the end of the pacing line. At which point, once the field is stacked up fully, they will immediately go double file and then restart somewhere on the Mulsanne straight that same lap, depending on how long it takes them to get doubled up again. I like that. It packs our field up just like a traditional safety car that this league runs, but you don't have to spend, 15, 20, 30 minutes worth of yellow flag just pacing around trying to catch up to a pace car.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's going to be people, whenever that yellow flag does fly, that are going to decide to come down pit road that lap. And that might delay the green flag just a little bit, right? Because they'll have to get caught up. So, we might not see the green flag until the end of that lap. I know they said the Mulsanne straight, but we haven't seen this in action yet. I'm not 100% certain we can get that completed by the end of the Mulsanne, but hey, I've been wrong before.
Remember how long it takes to get down that, right? And then you have to remember as well, the other cars are not restricted on how fast they can go to catch up. They just have to catch up. The leader is the only one that's really restricted on speed.
Oh, and it's 60 kilometers per hour, isn't it? Not miles per hour? That?
I don't recall.
I was thinking miles per hour, and I was thinking that's a little fast. Like, it's not fast, obviously, but I thought it was a little quick for the caution for what they were doing. But I feel like I need to go back through because I feel like I might have seen 60 kilometers per hour. So I'm going to go back and do some investigative journalism real quick. Yeah, 60 kilometers. So
okay, yeah. So that is doable by the end of the Mulsanne. That's a long time.
Absolutely, because that's like 40 miles an hour. Probably like 45 or something like that.
Got a few two-car tandems here. Got Ronenberg, not Ronenberg, sorry. You got, well, Ronenberg's ahead with Alexander Klang. And they get Thacker and Tucker along with Bueller and Augustino. So 3 two-car tandems that are, I think, trying to work together. Let's try to catch up to the top 3, which have just broken away. Who would have thought we'd be seeing car of tomorrow Talladega recreations at the wall tonight?
In hindsight, I guess we probably should have expected it to be this heavy of drafting. But man, the first lap that we took, a little bit of contact with Flams and Smith, but the first lap of the heat race, it just caught me off so off guard. It was, like you said, literally from the car of tomorrow days where we're just tandem drafting all the way down the straightaway. It's honestly kind of thrilling to watch on a road course setting.
You know what? Okay, let's have a discussion here. What was your opinion of tandem drafting within the NASCAR scene?
Ooh, that's such a loaded question, I feel like, or like the answer kind of gets loaded, because like it was honestly pretty daggum exciting, and I liked the visual, but I really hated that like the second place car in a tandem was not going to win a race unless they were clear of everybody around them. Like the only way they could win is if they had pushed their leader clear. If they were side by side, there was nothing they could do. They just had to be a pusher, and I didn't like that. But it looked exciting and it was fun to watch.
See, I liked it because it added some order to the chaos, right?
Yes.
It's still, and it adds a lot more strategy as well, I feel, than the races have today, where it's more just kind of luck of the draw when you make your way to the front. Before, you actually had to really pick your fights.
Your leaders, Darren Bailly, just made contact with Combs and went off the racetrack.
Big moment for Darren Bai. And he lost that himself and just overcorrected into the side of Combs. That's broken up the top three a good bunch here, and that could allow for Ronenberg. And oh, well, it could have allowed for them to close in if they didn't get broken up themselves.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't work together a little bit more, seeing what happened to the leaders. But with the leaders being separated, right, it was a 3-car pack pushing each other. I feel like probably with 3 cars, you're reaching your max speed. You know, with 4 or 5, you're probably not gaining all that much more, if any. But if they can keep this pack up at the front, just down to 2 cars, if it's just Kasich and Combs, I feel like the guys 4th on back lined up can run them down.
You don't often see a pass with the lead in this corner. You don't often see passes, period, in that corner. But Kasich made it work, and that one was for the lead.
Oh, and they're coming down pit road. So we're not even going to see the draft train right now. Half the guys coming down pit road.
Here we go. Fuel strategy started to kick off, trying to beat the code 60 before it inevitably comes up. Alexander Klenk picks up the race lead. Tucker and Thacker have got to do something, or he's going to run away with it just like he did at the sprint.
At least one more pit stop for these guys. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2. I really would not be surprised if this is 2 pit stops, with just how much we're on the throttle down the straight.
Ooh!
Oh, this is coming down pit road. Oh, no!
Oh, boy. Baron Morton involved. That was Chris Flams and Evan Campbell, the initial 2. Oh, the 137 just way overshot, and so did Campbell.
Oh, my goodness.
Over half the field right now, by the way, are in a pit road. And I kind of agree with this, right? This is not one of those racetracks where, well, I guess you actually can. I was gonna say this isn't one of those racetracks where you can afford to gamble on the fuel, but I just remember pit road doesn't close when that yellow flag comes out. So it's actually one of the few tracks where you can. And I can guarantee you that's what the top 13 are doing right now. They're hoping that code 60 comes out, so that way they can come down to pit road and not lose as much time.
Well, and with these guys pitting right here, if they ran it to the end of their fuel window, that run, that means they're going to have to pit 2 more times. The last one's going to be a splash and go, or they're going to have to save heavily over this next, the next 2 stints in terms of gas, which you can do down the straight, just breathing the throttle and staying in. Somebody sideways on pit road did a bad job getting into their pit stall.
That is Purcell. Stefan, my friend, how have you done this? What is he doing?
Well, this looks like me trying to parallel park. I mean, it's a carbon copy.
Do you also hit buildings when you try to parallel park?
I've definitely hit curbs. I still don't think he's in this box. Yeah, he's not. I'm confused.
Okay, so we overshot there, so that'll be a slowdown penalty.
Which he serves, it looks like right here.
Yeah. He comes down. As the traditional air horn signaling cars are in the lane. And there's Coffer in front.
He just missed his box? Yeah, he just
missed oh, and then he got hit! But who by?
I mean, he stopped in the middle of pit road.
Oh, Carlton, who was also turning in for his pit box.
You just don't expect somebody to stop in the middle of pit lane, and it ended up being a huge mess for Stefan, and I think he's called it quits. I feel bad we showed all that on the broadcast. I would be a little embarrassed if that was me. Which I have had people looking at me hit curbs in real life, like I just said. So, you know, I have had the embarrassment. So I feel you, Stefan. I feel you.
I mean, all you've done is just confirm that I should be the one that parks if we ever meet up in the real world.
I mean, just don't ask me to parallel park. I can pull into a parking spot. Easy peasy. But if you're asking me to parallel park, and I know it's easy, but I just haven't learned how to do it because I don't live in a big city. You don't need that skill around here, you know?
But what if you go to a big city?
Might just be making excuses. I find a parking garage.
You'd rather pay? Oh, to be fair, you got to pay at most parallel parking places anyway nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so who cares?
See, I'm the type of guy, I would rather, instead of paying, you know, like the $5-6, whatever it is, to park there for a few hours, I would just park like 3 blocks away in a residential neighborhood and then walk. That would be me.
See, I do that at sporting events a lot. Depending on where the stadium is. If it's downtown, you just can't get away with that.
Sporting events for sure. Unless you've like bought your tickets ahead of time and you like have an assigned parking spot.
it just depends on where it's at. Like if you go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, good luck. Good luck going to a residential area around there. There's no chance, buddy. You're finding a parking garage and you're parking your happy button.
Because usually in that case with the residential areas, the residents are trying to charge for parking in front of their houses for like 3
there's
times
no
the
houses.
price.
It's just, dude. I mean, around a lot of these big stadiums like that, it's just.
I mean, I respect the hustle, but come on, man.
Could you imagine how much money they make off of that? Here's the rest of the leaders pitting, though. We knew for sure they were not going to make it more than 1 lap after the rest of the field. So here they are coming down. Still don't have the code 60, so no yellow flag imminent yet. But Thacker, Clank, and Tucker all coming down.
Ooh, Jason Lee nearly overshooting pit road. Giovanni Romano is in as well, as is Brooks Clayton and Justin Hall. Hall was upside down in a big way in the sprint race. Then there's Jake Kasich, the first car that is out of pit road and looking to try to inherit the race lead.
So where these guys are going to come out, Kasich and Combs are coming into the last set of corners right now through the chicanes. Combs still on the back bumper of Kasich as we're watching Clank down on pit road. Coming out of the last corner, here comes Kasich and Combs across the start-finish line. And Clank is still stationary in his box. Just now going by him, and Clank is just now leaving. So, looks like, well, to be fair, these guys, the guys that stayed out, you got to think they really got hooked up together again the next time down the Mulsanne. I imagine coming out of pit road, everybody's a little bit more broken up.
Ooh.
And you got to find your buddies a little bit better. Ooh, Combs all over the back bumper here. Goodness.
They've also, remember, they took less fuel on that pit stop because they pitted the lap sooner. So they were in the box for about a second or two less.
That's a very, very great point. Costs you a lot of time on the racetrack. But, like I said earlier, I think the guys that pitted the lap before are currently on a stint or on a strategy where they've got to pit an extra time unless that caution comes out and they can save a lot of gas. I just don't know. If the caution doesn't fly, I don't think the guys that pitted before the 40-minute mark can make it on one more stop. So it might have given them time for now, but I really do think if we stay green, it's going to end up being a race ender for them, unless they have a little bit more in the tank I don't know about.
I'm going to try to get a look back on what happened again on that massive wreck on lap 2. And this one in particular will be what happened to Carson Catlin. We're right on board specifically with Catlin. This is coming down that straightaway. He was the car that sent Crawford into the wall and sent Crothers over. Jeez Louise, I mean, that is such a devastating impact.
And you could see he was just a little offset whenever he hit the back bumper of Crawford there. And, you know, like I said, he was getting shoved from behind by Chris Bright. So it's not like Catlin could slow up and avoid. They were just kind of stuck where they were going.
And this is Williams tried to avoid, but never lifted. And who was that just managed to worm his way through? That might have been Michael Hopkins.
To be fair, I don't know if I would lift down the Mulsanne straight with no chicanes either if my damage was turned off.
Oh, no, sorry. That was Stephen Purcell, the driver that had that incident with pit road, right on board with him. Oh, my.
Wow. He's a lot better at 130 miles an hour than he is 3.
Wow.
That was me.
I don't know what to say after that. He was already dead. You didn't have to do that, man.
Stefan's catching strays for no reason. I'm so sorry,
You didn't have
Stefan.
to do that. You didn't have to.
Look, man,
Why did you do that?
I'm complimenting how good he is at 130 miles an hour. Oh, Combs! Combs is spinning. He's not very good at it. From second place, Combs sideways.
You're not going 130 there, though, to be fair.
Okay, but look, I just wanted to play on words. All right, don't harp on my announcing. All right.
I'm going to.
I'd probably deserve
With your mistake earlier, I'm going to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll take that.
Combs dropping back to second as well. Jake Casey now all by himself. Now, when Clank did this, he was able to get away quite well. We'll see if Kasich can do the same. He's got to try to pull out enough, though, so that these guys don't run him down again at the Mulsanne. That's left him
There's no
very
chance.
vulnerable.
Yeah, there's no chance. It's going to be a 4-car battle unless second through fourth wreck each other. Rodenberg, Combs, and Bueller are going to find each other on this next straight and just blitz them.
Now that we've been having a good run of things so far, right? I mean, 33 minutes are left to go in this race. And since that pit stop window, you know, that did break a lot of the field up. But over the last couple laps, they have been slowly reeling each other back together, right? Little by little, and it is snowballing every time 2 cars link up and start to catch the guy in front.
Oh, yeah. We got a big battle pack even behind this second one. Now, the problem is they're 8 seconds back from the leader. And whenever Ronenberg, Combs, and Bueller catch Kasich, all of a sudden it becomes a 4-car pack. They're probably going to work together again so that they don't let this 3-car battle for 5th reel them in. But if they can catch enough on this trip down the Mulsanne this time, get it to within, 3 seconds, maybe they've got an opportunity. But it just depends on how hard these guys up front fight.
And remember, the cautions are still a big possibility as well. The caution timing is still the same rules that we saw being used throughout the course of all of these regular safety car periods, right? It has to be within the first 5 minutes and the last 10 minutes of the last 15 minutes of the race, sorry. And there can be up to 2 with 75% chance for each.
Making me think we're going to get at least 1.
Well, you would think.
You
But
would
then
think.
again, that's the same stats that they have for the initial caution. We still get caution-free
Yep.
races.
We do, but it's not super consistent. And at a race like Le Mans, I have I want them to get back together a little bit. You know, I want to see this field bunched up again and then have another trip down the Mulsanne where we're all, packed up.
Klein suffering a single car incident. Whoa. Wow, way loose. Just never let that car settle. Ooh, then. Oh, dear. Adam.
A little bit too much curve.
Adam. They're starting to catch up to Kasich as well. They're going to get him by the end of the straight here, right at the halfway point. Combs making a duck out. Oh, they're going to split them 3 wide up the middle. Bueller going to go back with Combs. Kasich left out on his own. Bueller's trying to go for broke.
Kasich now back and forth, but in the draft again. And these guys did not lose too much time. So that pack behind, clanking the 5th place battle, only getting up to 6 seconds behind the leader. Now the top 4 looking like they're going to work together. Well, Combs looking to the outside of Ronenberg. Maybe looking for the move, but he backs off, giving Eric some space. But it puts him into a side-by-side battle for second here with Bueller. So they get down into the corner. Ronenberg running deep, down to the gravel, though, getting loose. Combs going down to the inside, not going to push him. This helps that second pack.
Yeah, it sure does, and they're really starting to try to run these guys down now. One other thing that's interesting to note about these caution procedures that they've got going for themselves here, there is a possibility that this could, in fact, become the norm. Officially right now, they are only using this for Le Mans and Nordschleife races. However, in their announcement post specifying this, depending on how it goes and from feedback, they are open to using this in place or addition to the standard iRacing yellows.
Now the problem is if we don't get a yellow, we don't get to see if it's any good.
Yeah.
so much for constructive criticism if you don't get to criticize anything.
Well, you can bring the Nordschleife next season and we can try again. Have you put thoughts into what your racetrack's going to be?
I feel like I got to go. Again, I got to wait on the car. I just can't. I want to do an oval.
I think it'd have to be under a mile.
Yeah. But again, I got to wait on the car. Thinking Dover.
Oh, boy. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Not
Dover's not a
probably
bad
not
track.
enough pit stall. Oh, I agree. Dover's one of the better ones. And I couldn't imagine it with a road course car. But again, it depends on the car we pick. There might be some that could not handle that place.
It's quite a big battle pack that's starting to form here. It's for a few battle packs that are... Oh, and around goes Justin Hall in the background. But, oh, he's been hit. Hall's been given a wallop by the 59 car? Or is that the 39? I I think that's the 39, but he's got 59 on it, so it's been confusing me today. That is Jordan Babcock, though, in the 39.
Have me a little lost. Oh, we're starting to see pit stops again already. Combs and Ronenberg.
And this will be to get them to the end.
No, it won't. There's no way. There's no way they can make it 28 minutes. They pitted the first time after 18, the second time after 14, because they're stuck in the
code 60.
strategy.
That's why we have a code 60.
Yeah, we do. That's why they're pitting. You're absolutely right. It might get them to the end then, since they're going to be able to save so much gas.
Right. So, code 60 out on the racetrack. Now we get set to slow it down and see what's going to happen from here on out to the end. Well, this will give us a great time. We can jump back and take a look at what happened to Kyle Smith, apparently. And he just dropped it by himself. There's the hit from Jordan Babcock, and then up the road, the 12 car just going slowly. Not sure why. But several cars through pit road. Combs came down. Ronenberg came down. Clank, Thacker, by. Right now in pit road is Hannigan, Romano, Castro, Clayton, Madole, Hall, Peterson, Babcock, Smith, Hopkins, Blevins, Cofford, Williams, Morton, and now Greg Beckman as well. So a lot of cars in the pit road, and Matthew DePuy overshot trying to get to pit road.
I'm honestly surprised that there are so many people not pitting. I thought for sure we would just instantly come down pit road as soon as you saw code 60 at this point. 26.5 minutes to go. If you pit here, the worst it's going to be is a splash and go to get to the finish. Best case scenario, saving under gas, you might be able to make it to the finish. So I can't believe I'm seeing guys like Bueller, Kasich, Lee staying out.
And remember, it's timed, right? So you don't need to necessarily save whole laps. You just need to save enough that you're going to have enough to make that final lap whenever it rolls about.
Oh, true. That
does make the fuel saving strategy a lot more viable in this instance. Now, all these guys that have stayed out, the top 7, they are absolutely having to come down again before this race is over.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just thinking, coming down to the end of this race, say we cross the start-finish line with 10, 20 seconds left, and these guys were hoping that it was, they can only make fuel to make it that lap. It could throw a big wrench into this because it takes 4 minutes and 30 seconds to get around this place. So if that happens, you got to wait another 4 minutes to be able to come down pit road. It could catch a lot of people out here, especially the way this caution fell. I got to think there are going to be some people that try to make it, but it might only be a couple that end up succeeding.
So out of everybody that came down to pit road, there's not a lot that have stayed out. You have the top 7 that have stayed out. You then have Corey Barrett down in 19th. He stayed out of pit road this time around. Tyler Carlton at 21st stayed out. And that is it. Everyone else has come down to pit road.
If I'm one of the guys that came down pit road, I'm liking where I'm sitting, especially if I'm one of the first ones off. I'm telling you, Combs, Ronenberg, Clank, I like where those guys are sitting. I think that's the best spot.
You see a good chunk of the field started to catch up to the tail end of these guys. That's about Ryan Murphy, Campbell, Catlin. Of course, counted there's in 32nd out of the 39 cars that are on the racetrack right now. So we only have about 7. We're going to double them up and try to get going by the end of this straightaway.
And I think we are going to be able to do that. Only a couple stragglers at the very back. Looks like we're waiting on, well, I say a couple stragglers. Verhulst is just now coming out of pit road.
Yeah, he was in the pits for a long time, minute and a half. I wonder if he was serving a penalty.
Maybe?
I mean, we are not technically under a caution flag, so it would allow you to serve, for example, a 1-minute stop and hold. If that's what he's done and he's found a way to cheese the system, it's brilliant, but that is definitely going to be looked at after if that's what he did.
Okay, well, to be fair, if we were at, sorry, just thinking, like, if he pitted and had to serve that the lap before a code 60, what's the difference? Right, he would just be able to come out and rejoin the back of the field anyway at a track this big where you're not going to lose a lap. So I don't think it necessarily throws a big wrench into it or anything. I would still call it legit.
Still doubling.
I like the move, though.
Watch for Verhulst. He's going to come in stage upper right. Right at the tail of the shot. Any time now, surely. There he is.
I can't believe he's that close.
I don't know. He's in the distance. He's still blurred.
Maybe my iRacing depth perception isn't too good.
Now, I'd imagine they're going to go green here at some kind of a road marker, something that's, you know, visible to see. That or they'll just say, oh, yeah, by the way, we're racing now.
I feel like it's going to be after that right-hand corner.
No.
I don't know. That could just be turn 1.
Yeah.
But they would need to be going about now. Like, I feel like this is the right spot to do it.
Watching. There we go. They just released them. We are racing. They were waiting for Verhulst to catch up. So green flag back in the air. 22 minutes on the clock. Bueller now with Kasich behind. Great getaway, but that could be a detriment knowing what's coming up next.
Yeah, Bueller, like you said, clean getaway. But, you know, this next straightaway is not as long as the Mulsanne, but, man, it's still a daggum straightaway, and it's pretty freaking long. So Bueller is going to get eaten up if they get latched up behind him. Right now, Lee on the inside, 3-car train on the outside, all coming down to the little right-hand kink before the full 90-degree corner. Bueller all by himself. Kasich clears to second. Now, does he get any help down this back straightaway? And even if he doesn't, I feel like Kasich is close enough with the draft to make a move.
Take a look through the field. No problems through pseudo turn 1 on this restart. And now the first fully up to speed straight. Kasich immediate to the tail end. Started the tandem down the stretch. And that should keep Bueller's lead secure now, unless Kasich tries to go for it himself.
Kasich just content with pushing him right now, trying to get himself clear of some of the guys behind, but they're not fighting each other either. Tucker's getting a huge push from McClendon, and they're getting up, trying to get into the top 4, or trying to get into the top 3 for Tucker. McClendon now to the inside, trying to get 4th.
No problems again throughout the field, even though we had some 3 wide coming up to an ever-treacherous hairpin, or an ever-treacherous kink, sorry. They are able to keep it sorted. So they went through Indianapolis. They have gone through Iran. Now they're down the Busan straight on the move towards the Porsche chicanes.
Bueller still with the lead. Kasich all over the back bumper, just shoving him down. Tucker's still with him, side by side for 4th. As it looks like Lee and McClendon have been going at it. Lee's going to end up winning out on that battle, take the 4th place spot. McClendon sliding back, not just a 5th, but back to 6th as he gets past again. Alex Clank coming through on the newer tires. Full tank of fuel. Trying to come through to the front. Chris Flam start tracking it down there on the inside.
Yeah, Chris Flam's having to go evasive down to the Porsche curves now through the Corvette curves. And still, Bueller hanging on for the top spot. No issues so far. He's running a good, strong race. Crawford way out wide. Got to be careful about running wide through there. The 0-2 wide, it will give you a slowdown. Speaking from experience on that one. Now to the Ford chicanes. 1 car bails to pit road. That's one of the guys that did not come down to pit road. That is worth noting, right? The top 4 right now still have to make a second stop on the night.
They're guaranteed to have to make a second stop. Some of these guys were questioning it. I feel like this is bad from Bright. You know, you only made it 1 lap after the restart and everybody behind them too. It's just like, yeah, you can make it to the end now, but there's a couple guys through the field that I think are going to be able to save enough gas to make it. So you're taking yourself out of the chance for the win. I think there's probably going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that are able to stretch the fuel. But we'll have to wait and see if it works out for Bright.
Bueller, Kasich, Tucker, Lee, Clank, and Combs all are close enough that they could have a massive battle for the lead down the Mulsanne straight this time by. It's the first time since the restart that we're going to see the whole Mulsanne completely up to speed and with a full field of cars. And Bueller, I think, is almost guaranteed to not be holding on to the lead by the end of this stretch, whether he's in second or worse.
I don't know. Kasich's on the same strategy as him, so I feel like Kasich is just going to shove the ever-living heck out of him down this straightaway. Tucker doing the same thing. The problem is Lee is in the slipstream, and he's got some help. Clank all over his back bumper. Now Clank down to the inside. He's keeping the draft of the cars in front, disposing of Jason Lee. Combs, McClendon still in the fray. I mean, the straightaway just brings everybody back into it. If you even have a sniff of the draft, you're there.
Three, almost a four-car tandem down the Mulsanne. And if something goes wrong in the background, you'll be able to know it with these absolutely beautiful long shots that really showcase the whole straightaway in all of its glory. Oh, got a bit of three wide and contact behind. But that's not going to lead to anything. Carson Catlin again with another near escape down the Mulsanne.
Yeah, a couple of these guys that were involved in earlier incidents kind of looking out with that caution, getting themselves back into the fight. But back up front, John Combs with a huge push from Steve McClendon is just flying around the outside of these guys side by side for second and trying to find the left rear of Bueller.
Three wide. They'll double it out quickly. Down towards that ever critical juncture. And into Arnage. Ooh, a few drivers making a bit of contact, and John Combs is pushed out, but somehow Bueller hangs on to the top spot.
Yeah, Bueller still has it. Kasich still committed to that back bumper, but Tucker's getting another good shove from Clank, and they're in the draft of the two in front as they come through the little kink. I don't think it's going to be enough to get into the lead by the end of the straightaway, but man, we're still keeping the 6-car battle alive. And honestly, if they keep fighting each other in these tandems, there's going to be another 5, 6, 7 cars that come along and fight with them.
Well, not if they're doing this.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. They're not really helping each other, are they?
No, they really are. Giovanni Romano going for broke as we are approaching the final quarter now of this race. Holy cow, everyone off the racetrack in Indianapolis.
Shades of Watkins Glen 2012. I mean, what? Everybody's through the dirt. Like, what in the world? Is the kitty litter that good? I don't think there's much grip out there.
There's enough.
Whew. Just barely, I guess. They're lucky it's not the old grass kitty litter.
One battle pack that's actually kind of separated a lot. Look at Jordan Babcock back to about Greg Beckman. There's almost half a second now between all of these guys at the end of 2 long straights. That's a bit surprising to see.
Kasich around the outside of Combs for second. He gets the inside for the next set of corners, but Combs is going to have the run on the outside, but he hits the fence. Shorts up his run. They're going to make door contact there through the kink. And Kasich still just trying to keep his nose in there. Combs with the inside line, able to keep second place, but Kasich's not done with the fight yet. Heck, he might be until the Mulsanne, where he can just shove him all the way back up to the race leader.
All the way down through the Corvette curves. Nope, here we go. The drivers that didn't pit under the caution, they are now into pit road, leaving it now a 4-car race for the win. And Combs just got to slow down.
Oh, terrible for John Combs. Hopefully, doesn't look like it's too bad. Only going to lose the spot to Clank there across the line. So Clank up into the race lead. John Combs in second. Austin Tucker in third. I feel like, again, we still think a little bit of fuel saving might come into this. I don't know. A good chunk of guys made it 24 minutes. Or maybe 22, 23 minutes in the first one. At the end of this caution, we were at 22. They got the fuel at about 25, 26. So a couple of these guys I'm a little nervous for, but I think they might be a little bit better off than I was thinking a little earlier. This might just be straight up heads up for the win without too much fuel saving between Clank, Combs, Tucker, and Jason Lee, who's still on the back of the pack.
And we are now past that 15 minutes to go mark, so we will not get another code 60 before the end of this race. It's just going to be a straight shot from here to the end now. So Clank, Combs, Tucker, Lee, and then, of course, Romano, Hannigan, Ronenberg, and then further behind them, Augustino, Thacker, Clayton, and Hall. Those are the 4 main draft packs that we're keeping eyes on to potentially be in it to win it if something goes wrong.
Something tells me something's going to go wrong. with the way that they've been racing up at the front all night, it's been chaotic. Now, the problem for that is Combs is so far up under the back end of Clank that they're starting to pull away from Tucker, even though Tucker's got their draft.
And they are double file. Well, they were double file for a moment behind them. Aaron Thacker ended up making the move to get around all three of them. Was tired of being stuck in the back of the tandem, and now almost being turned by Justin Hall's aggressive shoving down the straight. It's like, well, fine. You want to lead? Get up there. And he's trying to push him into the draft here of Romano, Hannigan, and Ronenberg. And they are closing in. This could be another 7-car scrap here pretty soon.
You know, these guys are going to be fighting for about 5th. I feel like they're just too far back to be able to challenge the leaders unless the leaders get to fighting. And again, the problem with that, Combs has just done an incredible job down the straightaway, separating himself and Clank from Tucker and Jason Lee. And if they continue to just team up through the last 13 minutes, I don't think there's anything these other guys can do, unless maybe Lee and Tucker are a little bit faster as a team themselves. But right now, they're just too far apart to do anything about it.
I'm a bit surprised he didn't have another big wreck down the Mulsanne on the first 2 laps of this restart, but I think I'm pleasantly surprised. It means that the
I was going to say, you sounded disappointed there for a second.
Well, I'm not disappointed because it means that we get even more cars now that can get up and in and give us a good show for the end.
I feel like we're going to have a good show at the end. Even if it's just 2 cars going at it, if it's just Clank and Combs, I still feel like the end of this race is going to be absolutely bonkers.
I mean, I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
I'm telling you, I just, all you need is 2. All you need is 2 to tango. And up at the front, it might end up being that, but for 5th, it's going to be even better. Clank just about lost it. Just now, him and Combs are side by side now, so they were actually battling for the race lead. Instead of pushing each other, Combs is going for it.
Oh, and Tucker's gone around. Austin Tucker spears off the racetrack, and he's going to be dropped out of the podium. Here's one of the cars bridging these 2 packs together, he and Jason Lee. And, well, he will no longer be able to contend for that podium because he dropped it all by himself in Ardenage.
That sucks for Tucker. I mean, he was having a good run, had a chance at the end of this thing if Clank and Combs kept fighting each other to maybe draft with Lee, Romano, Ronenberg up to those guys and give himself a chance for the win, but instead, Tucker outside of the top 10.
Combs and Clank remain in lockstep for the time being. The rest of the pack still in hot pursuit just behind with just under 11 minutes to go. I want to say we got 3 to go at the line here. Jason Lee's just bailed to pit road.
It's so weird to think we're about to take 10.5 minutes to go, and you just said, oh, we're taking 3 laps to go.
Yep.
But you're definitely right. You're definitely right. Only 3 to go for sure from this point. Clank and Combs again.
Contact.
Coming down to the kink of 1. They almost wrecked each other there down into 1. Combs just has to lift, get off the gas, give the spot back to Clank. Probably smart. They'll, I imagine they'll team up again down the straightaway, right? But I believe somebody else might have had an issue. Somebody else was in the top 3. Jason Lee. Oh, he's in pit road.
Yeah, well, he didn't pit under the code 60.
Oh, did he not? I couldn't believe that they made it this far after the code 60. Okay, my mistake.
He was one of the last cars that we were waiting on to pit. So the rest of the guys that did not are in now. They were hoping they'd get another one, and they didn't get it.
Yeah, my bad. I misread that a little bit with Lee, but ultimately it makes it more straightforward for the lead. Now, Combs needs to keep this track. He's got to absolutely run him down on this straightaway. 8.5 tenths back. That's not where you want to be to start the Mulsanne. I think he's just within the draft of Clank up front. And he's going to be able to run him down. So it's going to completely bridge that gap. But with them being separated, back there in 3rd, Romano and Ronenberg are tandeming. So they should catch these guys by a decent chunk down the straightaway.
And Combs is being able to close because he did manage to just sniff the tail of that draft. So Combs is closing big time on Alexander Clank. And Clank going to strategically give that spot up. Now he can try to draft back to him and try to slingshot around them and try to use this as a method to keep Ronenberger and Monahan from catching them. Because notice how ever since they started slingshotting here, they've only closed in about a 10th or 2.
I'm shocked. No, they've closed in more than that. Romano and Ronenberg?
Yeah, they were only about 4.8 back at the start of the straight.
Well, they were 5.8 back at the start of the lap. So this lap has still been good for them. They've made up 2 seconds on the whole lap. And we still have another straight. Well, that's true. The front two have linked up, so they're not going to gain too much more at this point, but I don't know. They're still slowly bridging that gap. I don't know. They're going to need another moment out of the front two.
Well, they might get it there.
Oh.
John Combs a bit wide, and that's going to keep Clank from linking up to him out of the corner, and Clank's going to try to go for the spot, so that is the opportunity that Ronenberg, Romano, and more might need to try to close the gap in.
Yeah, they're going to be able to bring it back down again, down this straightaway. Well, I say that. Ronenberg got such a good run out of the last corner that he's actually separated himself from Romano, so they're not able to tandem up with each other. Now Romano is looking to the inside of Ronenberg for third. So we're battling side by side for the lead. Romano not willing to push Ronenberg here, even though it would have given him a lot of time up to the leaders. I'm surprised.
And you had Combs and Clank also battling side by side all the way down that straight as well, down the Gulf Straight. And you got Romano, Ronenberg, and Thacker still tucked up line of stern for third, fourth, and fifth. Further behind, Campbell, Castro, Hopkins, Catlin, and Williams are all in under a blanket. This is a four-car fight here for the last spot inside the top 10. And then, of course, you still got all the battles deeper in the field that have yet to be sorted as well, like this three-way fight for 18th, and then just behind them, about a five-way fight for 20th.
So everywhere you look, battles on the racetrack, whether it's for the lead, third, 10th, 20th, doesn't matter. There's somebody somewhere fighting out here for a spot. Crawford not having his normal outing, right? He's been involved in a lot of incidents tonight and has not been able to stay up front. Back in 25th.
Still having a halfway decent run, though. I mean, this could be one of those races to drop, right? Because remember, they do. Oh my goodness! Someone just went screaming off the racetrack behind, and I think that was Adam Joseph Mailhot. Just missed the breaking point. It was nowhere close.
Honestly, good little flick spin to get him back going the right way, or way to get it woed down and somehow turn 90 degrees pretty quick. Made it the best out of a bad situation, but Adam already well back in the pack, so not the night that he'd wanted.
More cars couldn't make it, and these are drivers that were already having taken the stop under the code 60. Justin Hall, Darren Bai, Castro, Williams, Hopkins, Campbell, Catlin, Noyes, Verhulst, all couldn't make it. Dupuis couldn't make it. The top two staying out. It's a fuel mileage race at Le Mans.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was right to worry. Okay, I talked myself out of it there for a moment, but now, I guess everybody else realized, oh my goodness, we're gonna have one more extra lap, and that 4 minutes is gonna be the difference, right? I feel like we're seeing that from a lot of these guys, and I feel like we're gonna see it from the front runners too. With how hard they've been pushing each other, I gotta think they've still got to make a pit stop, and Clank sails around the outside down the straightaway, retaking the race lead. Giving up more time, though, and with the pit stops involved, I wouldn't want to be fighting at all. You have no idea who you're going to come out in front of, or if anybody is going to come out in front of you.
A few mileage race where you run out on the last lap is heartbreaking. There was a case of the 24 Hours of Le Mans where that very thing happened. You know, I think in 2017, it was either 16 or 17, that happened to the overall race leader. They had so much time up on the rest of the field. They had it in the bag. They ran out of fuel coming to the last lap because they just miscalculated. And that's in the real 24 Hours of Le Mans. You know, one lap, it doesn't sound like much, but, you know, 8.4 miles, 13 and a half kilometers. That is a long time when about 80% of that in these cars is spent going full throttle. I mean, you have to have as much fuel as you possibly can into the tank. You can't afford to have even a drop shy, because when the margins are this tight for the lead, even having a drop shy, it will be a deciding factor. It happened on Monday night during the High Tide Race League. Ty Marasco looking for his first win in over a year of competition. And, well, he ran out of fuel about 200 feet from the line and tried to Ricky Stenhouse it with you, Austin, and well, we saw how that turned out. But
yeah, he might have wrecked himself across my nose.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, right? He tried to Ricky Stenhouse it like he did at Iowa in 2011, right, with Carl Edwards. It's what he tried to do. It didn't work. That's not going to work in these cars either.
Well, I mean, if you get lucky and hit it right, maybe. But
Oh, the scoops that the noses are.
Well, the thing is, if you run, well, that's a good point. But coming out of the last chicane, if you run out, maybe you get a little lucky. But I don't think that you're worried about coming out of the last chicane. I think you're worried about running out of gas going down the Mulsanne straight, or through the Porsche curve or somewhere like that. Because if you run out of gas anywhere but coming out of the last chicane, you're not making it back to the straight.
I want to point out this race is going to be 13 laps long.
Funny as hell.
I'm willing to bet a race around the Nordschleife would be under 10.
Caution procedure was amazing, by the way.
It worked. It worked out very well.
Yeah, it was really good. Oh, battle for the lead
Oh,
again.
here we
Comes to
go.
the inside.
I don't think Clank secured. That looked strategic. Clank pulled off the racing line to give that up to Combs. I think Clank's trying to save fuel in the draft.
I would understand that more if it was, before the Mulsanne or the straightaway right after it. But to do that right, in the middle of the curves, if you're going to try to save fuel, I would have done it down the straightaway. Instead, he made the move and got around him.
Well, this way, he is able to make sure that he's on the back during the heaviest traffic sections of the racetrack.
And it's not looking like he's going to
Whoa!
Contact.
Hops up, all four wheels getting off the ground, and the top two are in the pit row. They couldn't go the distance.
Oh, my goodness. Are these guys
Third's
behind
in
him?
the pit road. Fourth is in the pit road.
Did anybody try to save? Can anybody make it one more lap? Hannigan's down. Clayton.
Ronenberg's going for it.
Ronenberg.
Eric Ronenberg is trying to throw the Hail Mary on the fuel strategy.
Ronenberg started this lap in third, but he has given up a ton of time down this last straightaway because he's realized that, man, if I could just crawl across the start-finish line, that's all I need. Everybody else is pitted.
He's all by himself. He will have no drafting help down the straight. He is completely by himself for the last lap of the race. Everyone else here in pit road has to watch and wait as he drives away further and further and further. Clank's been released. Combs been released. They're good to go. Full check to the end, but they don't have the help of each other for the draft because they exited too far apart.
And I don't think Combs, I think he took too much gas. I think he put a full tank of gas in that thing or something because he came out way far behind Clank and he had Clank beat by about half a second getting into pit lane. So
Ronenberg's
Combs
clutching.
over-fueling like crazy. Yeah, Ronenberg, I don't know if he's still going to beat Clank back to the line. He's not too far off.
He is running in sixth gear right now, something we have not seen at all throughout this season. He is trying to save to the max.
I have never seen somebody try to go this slow down a straightaway this long. Ronenberg is getting this thing up to full speed as slow as you could possibly imagine down the Mulsanne, but still getting there. Does he have enough gas?
Right now, Alexander Clank is running faster than Ronenberg down the Mulsanne. Clank is at top speed as it stands. Ronenberg only going about 125 or so. So Alexander Clank is reeling this gap in. It was 16 seconds at the start of the straight. It's down to 15. Now it's going to be below 14 by the time they get to the end of it. He's not the only one, by the way, that tried to go the distance. Case has pitted on lap 9. He's going long. So is Bueller. So is Cofford. Right now, Ronenberg, the only driver that pitted under the code 60.
He's going 100 miles an hour.
He's clutching in the middle of the straightaway.
He's under 100 miles an hour right now. Holy cow, Ronenberg is crawling. It's down to 10 seconds. And he's still got one more long straightaway.
Oh, I think that car's sputtering. I think he's out. I think he's run out of fuel. He is slowing. That car is sputtering. It is dying. He is stopping. Ronenberg didn't make the distance. He runs out of fuel. He tried, and he paid the price.
Oh, I thought he had to have been a little bit closer than that. That's like half the lap. He was probably half a lap short on gas. I can't believe he stayed out.
He probably thought he could save more than he could.
Oh. These guys behind him, though. The guys behind Clank, they've got one more straightaway that they can work together. Oh, but Combs doesn't have any help. Combs has such a big gap. Romano looked to the inside of Thacker, didn't get the move done. And now Combs doesn't have a drafting partner.
John Combs trying to go for another win in his beer league career. He took his first during a rain-soaked race at Road Atlanta earlier on. Meanwhile, man, I mean, Alexander Klenk, he has been on fire so far today. He's had quite a few strong races, right? I mean, Klenk has been doing, quite a good job as far as finishes go. He has won twice. It has been over a season, though, since he last took the win. His last win was in the Toyota GR86 race at the Virginia International Raceway.
Oh, Romano's coming.
Giovanni Romano's got full gas. He is trying to see if he can't go the distance. Here comes Aaron Thacker with a big charge. He's trying to fight his way onto a podium. Down to a second for the win of this race.
Can Romano get there? He's a little bit quicker than Klenk. Maybe we saw Combs sit so long in the box because he took the right amount of fuel. Maybe Klenk underfueled just a little bit, thinking I could save at the end of the lap. But now Romano's here. 0.7 of a second. Can Giovanni catch him?
It's going to be big to see if Aaron Thacker is able to close in the distance. Thacker has never won a beer league race. He's not going to be able to win one tonight. He is just too far back to get the job done. Meanwhile, Romano down to 9.5 tenths. I think it's over. It would take a monumental mistake from Alexander Klenk, but Romano is closing. He's closing fast. Something's happened to Klenk. Klenk slow and big. Here comes Romano. Romano gets around him. I think Klenk got a slowdown, and he's going to try to charge back in the Ford chicanes. Puts the bumper to the 99. Not enough. Alexander Klenk takes the W, and John Combs wrecks across the line.
Oh, Klenk ends up getting third. Romano wins this thing, but Klenk ran out of gas. It wasn't a slowdown. He ran out of gas, started sputtering going into the last couple of chicanes, and then Combs was going to get by him, and Klenk tried to pull off to the inside for some reason and wrecked Combs.
Underfueled the car on a splash and go.
Oh, my goodness. Good pick, Nolan.
Oh, Carlton bends it hard into the wall. He won't lose a spot, I don't think. Well, he lost one to Darren By, but that'll be it.
Holy cow, what a finish. It came down to the last chicane, that's for sure. A little bit of a bump and run try from Klenk on no fuel. But Romano firing it down in there, able to get clear before the last chicane, able to hang on to it even with the bumper. Guys are still fighting. That's how long this, or how spread out the field ended up being towards the back.
They both just got to slow down there, by the way. I think Hopkins and Milhawk got one.
They're pushing for everything.
They sure did. Milhawk's having to slow. That's awesome. The 27 car works his way through. He'll pick up the 29th place position.
I mean, we saw basically a replay of Monday night for second. It was literally the same thing.
Except this time it was an innocent bystander form of third getting taken out.
Well, that's a good point. It worked. See, you said it wouldn't work in these cars. It worked better than the Xfinity did for Ty.
Well, he tried.
Klenk was able to hang on to a top three.
He tried to.
Yeah, it's a good point. True.
Goodness gracious. What a race. That was awesome. That was a fun race.
Good pick. Good pick, Nolan. Hats off to you.
You better find a way to one-up me or I'm going to be really disappointed for next season.
Oh, I will. I'll figure it out.
I would hope so. Still waiting.
Trust the process.
I believe we are still waiting on Corey Barrett to come across the line. He's still got about a quarter of this lap to go. I mean, it shows just how long this place is, right? But, I mean, there's still a lot that's to be excited about coming up on Green Flag TV. I mean, Classic IndyCar Series is over. OMSRL is over. Speed's over. We still got the SRL finale coming up, though, at Kentucky Speedway this coming weekend. And then, of course, High Tide Racing League, the Beer League, they're still going to be running this one straight through the month of December as well to give you some more entertainment. And ASRL's got an Ironman series that we can be excited about as well. Street Stocks at a variety of different racetracks. To give an idea of how wild that Street Stock series is going to be, Austin, round 1 is on the 1.5-mile Charlotte Motor Speedway, and race 2 is on the Linear Dirt Track. So that gives you an idea of what we're working with.
God bless. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Nonetheless, I'm excited to watch.
And Barrett, any second now, should be coming across the line. I think he's just entering the Ford chicanes. I hear a motor. There he is, and there is your race. So with that, we'll take a rundown of your official post-race results this afternoon. Boy, this one was a good one. Giovanni Romano takes home the W this afternoon alongside Aaron Thacker. Alexander Klenk was in third, with Bueller in fourth, Casey in fifth. Combs, Lee, Augustino, Coffer, and Hall will round out the top 10.
11th place was Brooks Clayton, Chris Hannigan in 12th, Steve McClendon 13th, Kyle Blevins 14th. Austin Tucker rounds out the top 15 with Jeremy Castro, Ben Williams, Robert Peterson, Darren Bai, and Tyler Carlton rounding out the top 20.
Moving on down to 21st place, it's Eric Ronenberg alongside Bear Morton, Evan Campbell, Chris Bright, Greg Beckman, Carson Kaplan, Jacob Noyes, Ryan Murphy, Michael Hopkins, Adam Joseph Dalehock, and Tom Midol brings it up in 31st.
30 seconds, Jordan Babcock with Matthew Dupuy in 33rd, Ringo Harrison in 34th. Kyle Smith rounds out the top 35 with Blake Gambrill, Ryan Verhulst, Corey Barrett, Chris Flams, Adam Klein, Stephen Purcell, and Keaton Crothers rounding out the 42-car field.
Boy, what a night. What an awesome night of race we had here this afternoon. We're going to get a chance to, of course, talk to all the drivers that came home on the top steps of the podium here this afternoon. Let's give a quick chit-chat here, of course, to none other than your race winner, Giovanni Romano, coming home this afternoon with quite the win for him, if we can possibly find him on the racetrack. There he is, looking sharp as ever with that number 99 machine. He, of course, comes home with the top step here this afternoon, and Romano, it was a bit of a shock win for you as Alexander Klenk runs out of fuel coming up to the Ford chicanes. Talk us through that final lap.
Yeah, the final lap was pretty crazy. I think I started the lap I think I left the pits 7 seconds behind Klenk. And I gained a ton of time by working with Thacker on the Molzon, tandeming together. And then we got just in range of, I think it was John Combs who was in second? Could be wrong. And then that gave me a double leapfrog down the other straight. And then I barely got a sniff of Klenk's draft going into the Porsche Heures, and yeah, I didn't think I was gonna have enough, but then he looks like he ran out of fuel and was just the worst moment really. I think if he had just a little bit more fuel, he could have just coasted through the chicanes, or at least blocked through the chicanes, and yeah, it worked out for me. But yeah, definitely a little bit of luck there.
Overall, it's a very different style of racing to what we're used to here this afternoon. A lot of tandem drafting, which is not something we've really seen all season long in these cars. What was your thoughts on how this race went down tonight?
It's kind of like a cycling race where you're kind of running a pace for most of the race and just trying to stick with your pack rather than trying to go all out. At least that's what I was doing. And then with the final restart, I finally kind of started to push a little bit as it was kind of time to go. So felt it was very strategic, although, so yeah.
And of course, looking forward, you've gotten a lot of good results so far in the season, and you are up there in the points. Championship fight, you think it's on?
I don't know. You've probably looked at the points more than I have, which is, I've looked at them, I think, 0 times, so I think Crawford's still probably the favorite. I think he has 3 wins, which, considering those drop rounds and stuff, it's pretty hard to usurp that. But we'll see how it goes.
We shall see indeed. For now, congratulations on taking a race win this afternoon. We'll see you next week, wherever that may be.
Yep, thanks.
Giovanni Romano comes home in the number 1 spot at the end of the night, and that will bring us on down to Aaron Thacker, one of the AM-Class drivers, an AM-Class winner. He is standing by with Austin Edstrom, picking up the number 2 spot.
Yes, sir. Aaron comes home with the second-place finish. Aaron, there's a lot of madness on that last lap, and multiple guys running out of fuel and some craziness coming up to the last couple chicanes. Did you think it was going to open up for you and you were going to have an opportunity with everybody kind of scattering there?
I was just holding on there, guys. Again, Ronenberg was in front of us saying, "Guys, I'm sputtering," and then he just took a dive to the right after the final chicane, and I just followed the old purple 99 of Gio and happened to steal myself a P2.
Well, Aaron, it was a pretty crazy race the entire way through. What'd you think of the pick with Le Mans? Because it ended up being a pretty crazy race, and the draft played a huge role in it, obviously, and a little bit different than what we've seen mostly throughout the season. Tremendous draft potential. So what was it like out there racing in it?
I mean, I really like some of these, unusual combinations, and it just really forced you to drive the car differently. And just like NASCAR, any oval driving, you really have to work with the guys around you. And I think a lot of the people in this league working together is not something we're used to doing. You guys can probably speak to that better than I can. But there was a lot of chatter going on voice chat, like slow down. Hey, I'm checking up. I got to run. So you really had to talk with everybody around you, and I think everybody did a pretty good job, but I haven't seen the broadcast yet, so that may tell a different story.
Oh, no, it was great. It was great the whole way through. I mean, there were definitely some crashes, but it's the beer league. We come to expect that. Now, lap one of the heat race was a little bit different, and if I'm not mistaken, you were the guy caught in the middle of that sandwich. I know this is, a while ago, but can you walk us through that one? What exactly happened to kick off that huge incident?
That was a bit spicy. Some blame was being tossed around, but no, I was being pushed, and Justin Hall was behind me, and I was like, okay, we've got a good run. The side draft is really strong here. Tried to get as close to those guys as I could, and then I forget who hit me. I got like just a door tap, and Justin Hall had to veer to the left to go around me, and Justin Hall thought I lifted, and so then I was like, I didn't lift, and so again we're arguing, and then right when P1 merged back into the lane, he door banged me, and then you guys saw the rest. So everybody got a bit heated, but I think we were all really unsure what had actually happened. Then we saw the replay. I just think 3 wide heat race, first experience these cars on this track, it was destined to happen.
I think that's a fair point, and it was probably the longest wreck we've ever had in Green Flag TV history too. So that was something cool to kind of lay your name on. I think you're the owner of the longest wreck in Green Flag history. Or,
so
Green
proud,
Flag TV
so
history.
proud,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
proud.
yeah. But either way, Aaron, congratulations on the great finish tonight. Ended it off in style, and looking forward to seeing if we can talk to you more often a little bit later on in the season.
Thank you guys. Enjoy it, and great broadcast as always.
We appreciate you, Aaron. Thank you a lot for taking some time out of your day and coming to talk to us. Alrighty, that was your second place finisher, of Aaron Thacker. Nolan, I don't think we got our third place guy, so what'd you think?
I don't see him around either, so I'll be in agreement with you. But that was great. And I mean, again,
Yes.
It's exactly what we were hoping for this afternoon. Of course, we look forward now. There is still a lot of racing action left throughout the course of this championship. And there is still, we still don't have a word on where our racing action is going to be next week either. But overall, I think a good race, and I am really much looking forward to the last 2 races of the season. The last 3, sorry. I forget we have 9 races in this championship, not 8. I don't know why I keep defaulting to that.
Yeah, we need to stop taking races away. We need more beer league races.
Well, I tell you what, there's still a long way to go for this one. Looking like, just kind of checking in on where things are situated for us this coming week. We are off this next week for Thanksgiving dinner, so we are kind of like the what the High Tide Race League's doing. We will not have any racing action except for Saturday night next week, but it's still going to be good whenever we come back. But, of course, coming up on Green Flag TV, you heard us, you heard me talking about it already. The SRA Mini Stock Series is back with racing action on Saturday night with a Junior 100, 2 rounds to go. For the SRA Mini Stock Championship on Saturday night, the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series will close things out when they duke it out on Sunday night for 250 miles around the Kentucky Speedway. And then the High Tide Racing League is not going to be back. They'll be back the week after, so it'll be SRA again for the 3rd show coming on up on Green Flag TV, which will, again, be the season finale 2 weeks from now. But, of course, for us here on Green Flag TV, that's all the time we have for one afternoon. Austin, it's been a pleasure as always. He's been joining me alongside you for the I can promise I can talk. Austin and I have been bringing you all of racing action this afternoon. We'll see. Holy cow. We'll see him in 2 weeks.